Abraham Lincoln delivers one of the most powerful speeches in history, and he does it in just 272 words. But how? How did so few words manage to redefine an entire nation? Well, today we're going to break down the Gettysburg Address and really uncover what makes it so brilliant. It really is the central question, isn't it? How did a 2-minute speech given at a cemetery dedication become this fundamental piece of American identity? The answer, you'll see, is all about how Lincoln masterfully builds his argument step by step. You see, the genius of this speech is its structure: past, present, and future. Lincoln kicks things off not by talking about the war, but by going all the way back to the birth of the nation. He's deliberately anchoring his entire argument in America's founding principles. Okay, this opening line, it's just brilliant. 7 years ago sounds almost biblical, right? It's poetic and it's instantly memorable. But it's not just pretty language. No, it's also a very specific calculation. He isn't just marking time, he is pointing his audience to a very specific moment in history. And that moment? 1776, of course, 87 years before 1863. By using this exact phrasing, Lincoln intentionally skips over the Constitution and takes everyone straight back to the Declaration of Independence. His point is crystal clear. America wasn't founded on a system of government. It was founded on a powerful idea. And he calls that idea a proposition. Now, this word choice is absolutely crucial. See, a proposition isn't a given fact. It's more like a theory that needs to be proven, an idea that has to be tested. So what was this fundamental American proposition? There it is. The whole thing hinges on this one line from the Declaration, that all men are created equal. Lincoln is basically saying that this single idea is the bedrock of the entire American experiment. And with that, he just masterfully reframes the Civil War. It's not a fight over territory anymore. It's a violent, bloody test of that very idea. So, after setting the stage with this founding ideal, Lincoln brings his audience crashing right into the brutal reality of the present, the great test of the Civil War. And notice how he just raises the stakes here. It's not just a test for America. He says it's a test for any nation founded on liberty and equality. He's basically telling the whole world that the future of democracy, everywhere, hangs in the balance. And just think about where he's saying all this. On a field still raw from one of the bloodiest battles of the war. The whole reason they're there is to dedicate a cemetery. But Lincoln, he's about to do something completely unexpected with that. This is such an incredible rhetorical move. He was invited to dedicate the ground, and then he says, actually, we can't. The repetition of we cannot, we cannot, we cannot creates this powerful rhythm. It just hammers home how small their words are compared to the immense sacrifice that happened right there. So this is the big pivot. He argues that the soldiers, through their struggle and their sacrifice, have already done something that no speech or ceremony could ever hope to do. He deflects all the honor away from himself and the other VIPs and places it squarely on the men who fought and died on that ground. And that brings us to the final, and I'd argue, the most important part of the speech. After honoring the past and acknowledging the sacrifice of the present, Lincoln turns his focus to the future, and he issues this incredibly powerful call to action. This right here, this is the heart of the whole address. He's saying the burden of dedicating the ground is lifted, but a new, much bigger burden is now placed on them, on the living, to finish the work. The focus shifts entirely from the dead soldiers to the living audience. And he lays out exactly what that work is. It's like this chain of resolutions. First, be even more devoted to the cause. Second, make sure that these men did not die for nothing. And finally, achieve two ultimate goals: a new birth of freedom and the preservation of democracy itself. Now let's zero in on that phrase for a second. A new birth of freedom. He's not just talking about putting the Union back together the way it was. You got to remember, the Emancipation Proclamation had just been issued earlier that year. Lincoln is now explicitly tying the purpose of the war to ending slavery and creating a more just and equal nation. So, why? Why has this super short speech stuck around for over 160 years? Well, I think it's a mix of its powerful context, its brilliant brevity, and, yeah, a pretty healthy dose of historical irony. Can you believe it? In this moment of what seems like genuine humility, Lincoln predicts that his own words would basically be forgotten, totally overshadowed by the soldiers' actions. Of course, he could not have been more wrong. For more than 160 years, these exact words have been studied, memorized, and held up as one of the greatest statements of the American ideal. The irony is just, it's staggering. So in the end, the speech endures because of its incredible power and efficiency. In just over 2 minutes, Lincoln managed to do all of this. He completely redefined the war's purpose as a fight for human equality. He wove the nation's past, present, and future into one single powerful story, and he gave the world an immortal definition of democracy. And that really is the true legacy of the Gettysburg Address. It doesn't just end in 1863. Lincoln's challenge to dedicate ourselves to the unfinished work, it gets passed down to every single generation. Which leaves all of us with a pretty big question to think about. What is the unfinished work for us today?